Have you ever wondered why life seems to throw challenge after challenge at you, even when you're trying your best to be kind, helpful, and spiritually aligned? If you're an INFJ personality type, you've probably asked yourself this question more times than you can count. Why does it feel like God keeps putting you through test after test before blessing you with the breakthrough you've been praying for? Today, we're diving deep into something that'll change how you see your struggles forever. We're talking about why INFJs, those rare, intuitive souls who make up just 1 to 3% of the population, seem to face more spiritual tests than anyone else. And more importantly, we'll uncover why these tests aren't punishments. They're actually preparation for something magnificent. So if you've been feeling like you're constantly being refined in the fire, stick around. What you're about to learn will transform your perspective on every challenge you've faced. 1. The INFJ Paradox, blessed yet tested. Let's start with something that might sound familiar. You're an INFJ, which means you're naturally drawn to helping others, seeking deeper meaning, and living authentically. You've got this incredible gift of understanding people on a level that most can't even imagine. It's somehow, life keeps throwing curveballs at you. You help everyone around you, but when you need help, where is everyone? You give your all to relationships, careers, and causes you believe in, but it feels like you're constantly starting over. You pray, you trust, you keep faith, and then another test comes along. Here's what's really happening. God isn't testing you because he's forgotten about you or because you've done something wrong. He's testing you because he's preparing you for a level of purpose and impact that requires this kind of refinement. Think about it this way. Would you give a child the keys to a Ferrari? Of course not. They need to learn to drive, understand responsibility, and prove they can handle that kind of power. That's exactly what's happening in your spiritual journey. 2. The Rarity Factor, why INFJs get special treatment. INFJs are rare for a reason. You're not meant to live an ordinary life or fulfill an ordinary purpose. When God creates someone with your unique combination of intuition, empathy, and vision, he's got plans that require extraordinary preparation. Your personality type naturally gravitates toward roles that require deep wisdom, spiritual insight, and the ability to guide others through their darkest moments. You're the counselor, the visionary, the one who sees solutions when everyone else sees problems. But these gifts don't come fully developed. They need to be forged through experience. Every test you face is developing something specific in you. That betrayal you experienced, it taught you discernment. The financial struggle, it showed you how to trust when you can't see the way forward. The loneliness, it drove you deeper into your relationship with God and helped you understand what truly matters. You see, ordinary purposes require ordinary preparation, but extraordinary purposes, the kind that change lives, heal communities, and shift spiritual atmospheres, those require extraordinary preparation. 3. The refining process. Why fire is necessary. Let's talk about something that might sting a little, but it's crucial for your understanding. The Bible talks about being refined like gold, and there's a reason that metaphor is used so often. Gold doesn't become pure by sitting in comfortable temperatures. It requires intense heat to burn away everything that isn't valuable. As an INFJ, you've probably noticed that your tests aren't just random difficulties. They're specifically designed to target your weaknesses and develop your strengths. That's not coincidence. That's divine strategy. Maybe you struggle with people-pleasing, so God allows situations where you have to learn to say no and set boundaries. Perhaps you have trust issues, so he brings people into your life who prove that not everyone will hurt you. Or maybe you doubt your own intuition, so he puts you in situations where you have to trust that inner voice he's given you. The refining process isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. Every INFJ who's walking in their full purpose has stories of tests that seemed impossible at the time, but we're actually preparing them for their breakthrough. 4. The Empathy Development Program. One of the most beautiful things about INFJ testing is how it develops your natural empathy into supernatural compassion. You can't truly help someone through something you've never experienced yourself. God knows this, and he's giving you a graduate level education in human suffering and resilience. When someone comes to you brokenhearted, you don't just sympathize, you understand. When they're facing financial ruin, betrayal, or loss, you've got real wisdom to offer because you've walked through fire and come out with gold. This is why many INFJs end up in counseling, ministry, coaching, or other helping professions. You've been through the curriculum that qualifies you to guide others. Your pain has purpose, and your struggles have meaning. Think about the most impactful people in your life, the ones who've really helped you through tough times. Chances are they've been through similar struggles themselves. They could speak to your situation with authority because they'd earned their wisdom through experience. 5. Building unshakable faith. Here's something most people don't understand about faith. It's not really tested when life is going well. Anyone can believe when the bills are paid, relationships are smooth, and health is good. Real faith is built in the valley, not on a mountaintop. As an INFJ, God is developing in you a level of faith that can't be shaken by circumstances. He's showing you that His love isn't conditional on your comfort. His plans aren't derailed by your problems, and His timing isn't dependent on your understanding. Every time you choose to trust when you can't trace, every time you praise in the storm, every time you keep believing when logic says give up, you're building spiritual muscle that will serve you for the rest of your life. This kind of faith becomes a foundation that others can build on. When people see how you handle trials with grace and maintain hope in hopeless situations, it gives them permission to believe that maybe they can too. 6. The leadership preparation phase. Most INFJs don't see themselves as leaders in the traditional sense. You're more comfortable behind the scenes, supporting others, and working quietly toward your goals. But God often has different plans for you than you have for yourself. The tests you're facing aren't just developing your character, they're developing your leadership capacity. Every challenge you overcome becomes a testimony that can inspire others. Every lesson you learn becomes wisdom you can share. Leadership isn't about having a title or being in charge of people. Real leadership is about influence, and influence comes from authenticity and experience. When you've been tested and proven, people naturally gravitate toward your guidance because they sense something real in you. Your testing phase is building your credibility for the influence phase that's coming. God is preparing you to lead not from theory, but from experience. Not from book knowledge, but from battle-tested wisdom. 7. Developing discernment and spiritual sensitivity. INFJs are naturally intuitive, but spiritual discernment is different from natural intuition. It's a supernatural ability to perceive spiritual realities that others might miss. This gift is crucial for your purpose, but it needs to be developed and refined. The tests you face often involve people and situations that require you to rely on more than just your feelings or logic. You have to tune into that deeper spiritual frequency where God's voice is clearest. Over time, these experiences teach you the difference between your own thoughts, other people's energy, and God's actual direction. This is why many of your tests involve relationships. You're learning to distinguish between people who are genuinely struggling and those who are spiritually dangerous. You're developing the ability to love people without absorbing their pain, to help without enabling, to give without being depleted. These skills aren't just for your benefit. They're for everyone who will come to you for guidance in the future. You're being trained to be a spiritual GPS for others who are lost. 8. The isolation factor, growing in solitude. If you're an INFJ, you've probably experienced periods of isolation that felt almost unbearable. Friends drift away, relationships end, opportunities disappear, and you find yourself alone more often than you'd like. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. During these quiet seasons, God has your undivided attention. Without the distractions of busy social schedules and demanding relationships, you can hear His voice more clearly. You can process the lessons from your recent tests and prepare for what's coming next. Isolation also teaches you to find your identity in God rather than in other people's approval. Many INFJs struggle with people-pleasing and codependency. So these alone seasons help you discover who you are when nobody's watching and nobody's expectations are weighing on you. Some of your most significant growth happens in solitude. This is where you develop the inner strength that will sustain you when you're eventually called to serve others at a higher level. 9. Financial testing, learning to trust God as provider. Money is a common area of testing for INFJs, and there's a specific reason for this. Many of you are called to purposes that won't make you wealthy in the traditional sense. You might be called to ministry, nonprofit work, counseling, or creative endeavors that serve the heart more than the wallet. God needs to know that you'll pursue his calling even when it doesn't come with financial security. He's developing in you a trust in his provision that goes beyond what you can see in your bank account. These financial tests also teach you about his faithfulness. When he provides in miraculous ways, and he will, it builds a testimony that encourages both you and others. You learn that his resources aren't limited by your circumstances. Plus, when you eventually step into your calling, you'll be able to relate to others who are struggling financially. You won't judge them or give them simplistic advice because you've been where they are. 10. Relationship testing, learning healthy boundaries. INFJs are natural givers, but many of you haven't learned the difference between healthy giving and unhealthy enabling. Relationship tests teach you this crucial distinction. You might attract people who want to take advantage of your empathy, or you might find yourself in relationships where you're always giving but never receiving. These experiences teach you that love without boundaries isn't really love at all. Through relationship testing, you learn to recognize red flags, trust your intuition about people, and prioritize your own well-being without feeling guilty. You discover that saying no to the wrong people and situations creates space for the right ones. This preparation is essential because your calling will likely involve helping many people. If you don't have healthy boundaries, you'll burn out quickly and won't be able to sustain the level of service God has planned for you. 11. The timing factor. Why delays aren't denials. One of the hardest parts of being an INFJ in the testing phase is the timing. You can sense that something big is coming, but it feels like it's taking forever to arrive. You pray, you work, you stay faithful, but the breakthrough seems to stay just out of reach. Here's what you need to understand. God's timing isn't just about you being ready. It's also about circumstances, other people, and factors you can't see aligning perfectly. Your delay might be because the person you're meant to help isn't ready to receive what you have to offer yet. Or maybe there are skills you still need to develop, connections you still need to make, or situations that need to shift. Divine timing is perfect timing, even when it doesn't feel perfect to you. Every day of delay is a day of preparation, and every day of preparation is an investment in the success of your eventual breakthrough. 12. The elevation process. What comes after testing? Here's the encouraging part. The testing phase doesn't last forever. When God has accomplished what he needs to accomplish in you, the season shifts. But elevation doesn't always look the way you expect it to. Sometimes elevation looks like sudden opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere. Other times, it's a gradual recognition of the wisdom and authority you've developed. People start seeking your advice, doors begin opening, and resources become available. But often the biggest change is internal. You realize that you're not the same person who entered the testing phase. You're stronger, wiser, more discerning, and more confident in who you are and what you have to offer. The elevation isn't just about external success. It's about stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. Conclusion. If you're an INFJ reading this, know that your tests aren't random and they're not meaningless. Every challenge you face is developing something in you that will be crucial for your purpose. God isn't putting you through these experiences to break you. He's putting you through them to build you. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's a superpower that needs to be refined. Your desire to help others isn't naive. It's a calling that requires preparation. Your intuitive gifts aren't coincidental. They're tools that need to be sharpened. The testing phase is temporary, but the character it builds in you is permanent. The wisdom you gain, the faith you develop, and the compassion you cultivate will serve you and others for the rest of your life. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is this developing in me?" Instead of wondering when the testing will end, start preparing for the elevation that's coming. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, And when it comes, you'll be grateful for every test that prepared you for it. God hasn't forgotten about you. He's been preparing you. And what he's preparing you for is worth every moment of the process. Trust the process, embrace the preparation, and get ready for the elevation. Your time is coming, and when it does, you'll be ready.